The conference and field workshop Interdisciplinary Polar Studies Modular meeting with focus on Arctic amplification, glaciers and environment is organized by Center for Polar Studies with headquarters at University of Silesia and co-organized by University Center in Svalbard, UNIS, and also Svalbard Integrated Earth Observing System supported by International Arctic Science Committee and other institutions including Ministry of Education and Research in Poland. The major aim of this meeting, mostly young scientists, is to plan cooperation during next years with International Polar Year, the 5th International Polar Year on the horizon. During plenary sessions, older, well-experienced, distinguished scientists were invited to give keynote lectures, and young researchers present their current results of studies in different parts of the Arctic, from northern Canada, Greenland, Svalbard, and northern Atlantic. In generally, expected result and report will serve as identification of gaps in knowledge on Arctic environment and accelerating changes of climate warming and changes of environment.
That we are here working on a project. The project is called New Dimensions. Well, in fact, it's called 3D laser scanning for Svalbard's heritage preservation. We are actually in a very good spot to discuss these matters because back in a day when transportation options were a lot more limited than today, Soka Plant, which stretches over there on the other side of the fjord, and the Hornsund area here were in fact the most easily accessible parts of Svalbard from Europe. And this is not only because this is southern Spitsbergen, so obviously it is closer to Europe than the northern bits, but also because due to the activity of the West Spitsbergen current and the warmer waters that it carries northwards, the waters that stretch here off the western coast of Spitsbergen were largely free of large ice fields, so navigation here was a lot more doable than in other areas. No other area in the high Arctic can equal Svalbard in terms of the concentration and diversity of international non-indigenous heritage sites, which covered the time span of about 400 years and range from the 17th century whaling stations, which I have already mentioned, to the post-World War II coal mining infrastructure. And in fact, the Hornsund area is a very good example of this activity. FOX is...
In general, here we can see Hansbreen. As you probably find out, it's one of the most studied glaciers in Svalbard, apart from Kronebreen and Kongsvegen and that system. In general, in the place that we are standing right now, there used to be the glacier in the past. For example, here you can see this is one of these pictures from the Austro-Hungarian expedition in 1872. And all of this area was covered with glacier, and the lateral terminal moraine is somewhere in that area. You could probably see from the ship, and when you went back to the ship, you can also have a look. Moving later, here you can see how this glacier looked like in 1936. And as you can see, here there is the lateral moraine, and the place that we are standing is still covered with ice, because this peninsula is Wilczek, so the one that we were yesterday. And if you look further, you can see two small islands, Hansholmane, and they were also covered with glacier. So here you can imagine how the glacier was bigger at that time if we compare with what we can see nowadays. In general, there are abrasion stakes on this glacier, so here you can see how these abrasion stakes are located. And there's the measurements of mass balance started in 1980s.
Spring cooperation with Jonove and the Russian colleagues, we established one spring, more 140 sticks, and measure snow deep, density, and how fast the melting the snow.
And all stakes were drilled down by hand.
Did you have PhD students?
And measure it for the theodolite, not for the GPS. So for this period, GPS people not use it. The first GPS we used with Jonove on the 1990, and for this period we have only 2 times per day, 2 hours for possibility measuring, because the totally was 8 satellites. When we start
Sensitive to small
for the
changes.
monitoring mass balance on the end of the 80s to beginning of 2000, the equilibrium line was not so much changes, was approximately between 320, 360 meters. And now for this period, the area of the accumulation area covered approximately 25% of the glacier. Now I think it's only 10% of the glacier.
This is organic matter being exhumed by ice melt. It's being released. And when you open it and smell it inside, you can tell it switches back on. There's a lot of biology in here. It's actually starting to release methane in some places on glaciers.
Maximum capacity of the station is like 40 people, but during the winter just 8 people stay. At least this year 8 people will stay for the whole year, but it changed from season to season. So there were years when it was like 12 people. So we've got 12 single rooms in that part of the building. There is also a laboratory, small laboratory part. There is a radio room and meteorological rooms. Hornsund station is a normal synoptical station in World Meteorological Organization network. Maybe from the interesting facts, this July was the warmest in the history of observations in Hornsund. So it was the average monthly temperature was 6.5 degrees of Celsius, so quite a lot. There we've got dining room here. Here is interesting wall. Because we've got pictures of all expeditions that overwintered here, so just the people that stayed for the whole winter, for the whole year. So station was built in 1957, but after this year there was a quite long gap, and station was used only during the summer, periods. Station was renovated in 1978. And after 1978, we've got continuous observation program here, and there is always someone inside the station. So we've got ongoing expeditions without any breaks. So right now we are on the 46th expedition. So there is 46 years of continuous observations. We have a gym here. Here we store our food. Now we are entering the summer part of the building. So here we have main entrance, small table, who is who on the station. And we've got hydrochemical monitoring program. We've got hydrochemist that works on the station, and he's responsible for analyzing the water samples from the rivers, from also collecting the snow samples and analyzing the ionic composition of this water. This laboratory is used by our oceanographer, so we perform also a lot of measurements on the fjord. The interesting room is this room. It's chromatography laboratory, so our hydrochemists perform ion measurements in that lab.
We established the first treatment on Svalbard on 1987. The all water from this treatment here, and here where is lake is not so much polluted, and you see also not smell. It's not danger for the tundra, and you know this is only water. The rest is from the reactor is like dust. This when we are dry it is possible burning and is completely neutral for the environment.
We have a small demonstration. It is not normal way how we are doing that. I will show that later. After the lunch we will have presentations about oceanographic measurements. But just to show you anything, something that you see that what we are doing and how we are measuring the water properties in the fjords. This is a system which is normally used from the small boat. On a normal big research vessels, we use much bigger systems, but that I will show later. And then at the end we have a very small instrument. I will tell you a few words because I like this instrument very much. And this one measures pressure, water pressure. It's measuring temperature, and it also measures water conductivity. And from conductivity, knowing temperature and pressure, we can calculate salinity. This probe is so-called self-contained. That means that it has an internal memory, and all measurements which are recorded, they are stored in the instrument memory.
Welcome at the station. As Kuba said, it's owned by Adam Mickiewicz University in Poznań, Faculty of Geographical and Geological Sciences. The station itself was built here in 2015, but the research in this area are conducted by our university since 1984. At the beginning we used the hut on the other side, Skottehytta, until 2009. And in 2011 we built these two small barracks right there. We've got the permission from the governor, but it was temporary for 4 years. For the first period we thought it can be for longer, but after that it was cancelled. But fortunately, it was made the spatial plan for Pyramiden, for arrangement of the area. And in this plan, we've got a small part here together with Czech colleagues. So we have here a Polish-Czech border. Even there is a river on the border. And since then, we have a very good cooperation. Both logistic and scientific and everything. We are mostly earth scientists, so what we are doing here was from paleogeography, mostly quaternary things, to contemporary processes and environmental monitoring. I think Kuba will tell you more about
you.